Hello friends, let's understand the latest trends in risk management area. So what are these latest trends and what is the impact of these trends on business and how these impact your career choices? There are broadly 7 changes or the trends in risk management that are important for us. Number 1, the overall governance, risk and compliance or GRC frameworks are now being expanded to include environment, social and governance practices. Number 2, the regulation is being embraced in such a way in the risk management that it is not something that you are separately treating as compliance issue. Third is, the organizations are taking a holistic approach to risk management by implementing enterprise risk management frameworks. The fourth is, the incident handling is being prioritized by putting right kind of processes and right kind of crisis managers in place. Fifth is, use of big data and the leveraging of the machine learning and AI capabilities is being done to predict the risk might occur. Sixth, there is a focus on cybersecurity. Seventh, there is a focus on reducing costs of risk management by implementing automation solutions. Let's understand each of these trends in detail. Number 1. The GRC or the governance, risk and compliance frameworks are being broadened. As we know, today there is a lot of focus on ESG investing and in ESG framework implementation in various corporates. ESG stands for environmental, social and governance practices. For example, there are a lot of funds which invest in companies only if they are following right kind of ESG practices. These funds are also called ESG funds or ESG compliant funds. Because of this, there is a pressure on the corporates to mandatorily report some of the measures that they are taking to, let's say, comply with the regulations around environment, or how their processes or their products are environment friendly, how they are complying or making the influence on the society better, and how they have right kind of a governance mechanism in place. So because there's a lot of focus, media focus as well as activist focus on this area, there's a significant impact on various aspects of business. For example, for getting funding you need to be ESG compliant. For growth, for example, for selling in certain markets, if you are ESG compliant, that is going to help you. Your brand equity also is impacted by whether you are ESG compliant or not. So various measures or key performance indicators are being designed to track the ESG compliance and also report it to various stakeholders. And as I mentioned, therefore the governance, risk and compliance framework is now being broadened to include the ESG tracking and monitoring. The second aspect or the second big trend is basically the risk management frameworks are being expanded to embrace the regulation. So as we know, the regulatory risks are very big risk in many of the businesses, specifically for example in business in banking. So cost of compliance of various regulations, the cost of tracking, monitoring, auditing, compliance with those regulations and reporting, it has increased substantially over a period of time. It is possible that if you are not undertaking proper compliance, proper tracking, logging, auditing and reporting, then you might end up paying heavy penalties to the regulators. So it is better that you embrace the regulation wholeheartedly and put all the system right in place to take care of the regulatory risk in a very big way. So RegTech solutions or regulatory technology solutions which are a part of FinTech are very much in demand, where the 3 stakeholders come together. For example, there is a vendor which is providing RegTech solution. He works very closely with the important stakeholder which is regulator to understand the regulations, for example, and also with the regulated entities to understand what are their problems and how they can help them implement the regulations better. So that is the second trend in the risk management. The third trend in risk management is that the companies have taken the holistic approach to risk management, which means they are looking at all aspects of business and all types of risk, typically through something called the enterprise risk management frameworks. So what is exactly enterprise risk management? It looks at the enterprise as a whole rather than looking at specific types of risk in silos. For example, credit risk, operational risk, and then the governance practices at the board level, for example, through the risk committee, are undertaken in such a way that the policies are defined at the board level, the processes are defined at, let's say, the business unit level, the frameworks are defined at the board level, and then they are customized for the business level. Different types of key performance indicators are defined for the businesses to report how the risk is getting handled, and then the reporting and audit also happens at various levels to give the right kind of picture to the board at the governance level, how the holistically the risk management is being done, undertaken in the organization. And the risk management committee of the board, which is a mandatory committee for listed companies in India, for example, and specifically in banks, so they are taking a big role in terms of implementing the holistic risk management framework. The fourth trend in risk management is the prioritization of the incident handling, because you cannot avoid risk all the time. Risks are going to occur, right? So some events might occur and you have done all the planning, but some events might lead to some kind of incidences. So when the risk materializes, how you handle matters a lot. So you need to have right kind of communication protocols in place. For example, an incident happens, now how will you handle that? You need to have business continuity plan in place to make sure that the business continues regardless of the risk. For example, your systems are not available, but there are people in your shop, right? So how will you handle that? So you should have manual systems of for sort of servicing the customers, and you should have disaster recovery plans in place. For example, the backup of your database to make sure that it can be recovered in some time. And then in this, the training of the employees, the staff, having right kind of skills and having right kind of tools becomes very important for incident handling. And the entire focus of incident handling is, now that the risk has occurred, you want to minimize the losses. And in this case, having good crisis managers in place definitely helps. So that's why various companies, they have something called CRT, crisis and response teams, right, which are trained, and the drills are conducted from time to time, for example, to look at how you will handle the fire risk in a particular premise. Again, COVID-19 is a good example of how the risk management, those companies will prioritize the handling of that risk management very well. They survived the COVID-19 sort of risk. Then fifth trend in the risk management is that because we are now very much data dependent, how you handle big data and how you use machine learning and AI to handle that has gained a lot of prominence. So as we know, big data is basically the data not just big in size, but it has both structured and unstructured components of data. For example, data sourced from social media or mainstream media. So natural language processing, or NLP, is being used in a big way to understand this data because it is unstructured, and then take actions based on that. The machine learning or the artificial intelligence systems learn from the data, they learn from the past outcomes, and then they make changes to predict the future outcomes and also recommend actions. So these kind of solutions are being placed at the forefront of risk management. And then cloud, for example, is being leveraged to take care of the security aspects, scalability aspect, performance management aspects. Earlier the enterprises were a little bit skeptical about cloud, but now a lot of cloud driven solutions are available for you to take care of your risk. And then there are risks inherent in using these kind of new technologies, also big data, machine learning and AI, and then there is a focus on managing those risks as well. The sixth important trend in the risk management is around the focus on the cybersecurity, because as we know, the technology is being used across all the areas of business. So IT has become indispensable. So risks arising from technology are also very high. Also, there is an aspect of cybersecurity. For example, you might cyber crimes are on the rise. So you may be attacked by, let's say, through a denial of service kind of attack. There may be a hacking into your system. Somebody might impersonate your organization by, let's say, phishing. Somebody might put a sort of virus in your system using a ransomware and then demand ransom, right? So these kind of attacks are on the rise because technology is being used in a big way and we are all connected to the internet. So there is a huge risk involved in this, and the entire business might go down. So a lot of measures are being taken for cybersecurity. For example, ethical hackers are being deployed to do the penetration testing of the system. Then tools are being deployed which can understand this kind of behavior or threats, and then they can take or suggest some kind of actions. People are trained all the time. Even any employee in the organization has to undergo a certain level of training on how you handle cybersecurity. Then other plans like data backups, for example, into clouds, etc. All those are being undertaken by the companies. The seventh important trend in risk management is that there's a lot of automation that is being done in order to reduce the cost, because risk management spend is many times looked at as a discretionary spend. You don't have to essentially do that, but it is very important for business. So risk management spend budgets have to fight with the other budgets. For example, budget for customer acquisition, the customer the sales teams, the budget for customer retention, for example the marketing and customer success team, they will ask for the budget. And then there is a regulatory budget, spend budget, which is mandatory because you have to comply with the regulations. So the risk management teams, they have to fight for the budget along with these kind of competition within the organization. So there is a pressure on the budget, and then therefore the technology is being used in a big way to automate the processes of risk management. So a lot of tools are being deployed, for human element is being reduced to the extent possible, so that the errors are less, the downtime is less, because the automation is possible 24/7, and the quality issues are also reduced. But appropriate testing of these automation solutions is very much required, otherwise they themselves might be the source of a big risk in business. So these are the broad 7 trends in risk management. I think understanding these trends will help you, plan mitigation. If you want to be in the risk management domain as for your career, then you can identify some kind of roles aligned to these kind of trends, and you can know what kind of skills are required to have a great career in risk management. So I hope you found this video useful and interesting. If yes, please do like this video, share with your friends, and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much, and cheers.